The Lazarus Reigns continue to make their way across the DC universe, twisting and changing everything in their wake. Some will become heroes, some will become villains, and some will become even stranger. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Lazarus Planet Next Evolution issue number 1, and find out what happens next together, shall we? Alrighty then, another week, another set of anthology stories using the Lazarus Planet plot as a backbone. First up, we got ourselves a little Red Hood tale. Jason is in Gotham City trying to keep the peace while Batman and everyone else are away dealing with the Devil Neza plot. I know that feels forever ago because it literally was, but hey, that's just kinda where we are right now. Jason is cracking down on a syndicate who seems to be smuggling Lazarus resin. You'll remember if you read that Task Force Z book that Jason actually should know a fair amount about Lazarus resin, but none of that ever actually comes up in the story. In fact, Jason is back to his original costume, not the one he was wearing in Task Force Z. For some reason, he's also stopped carrying guns, but kept his crowbar from Task Force Z. If that seems incredibly weird, don't worry, because at the end of the day, this story isn't actually about Jason at all. It's all about trying to set up a brand new group of villains, anti-heroes. I think it's unclear. They're called the Vigil, and it seems that they actually killed the members of the syndicate that Red Hood was after and stole the Lazarus resin right out from under them. Why? Well, I think it's implied that they're trying to build some sort of engine for something. It's all incredibly vague because it's definitely meant to be answered somewhere else, maybe in the pages of Detective Comics, I assume, because Ram V is writing this story and he's writing Detective right now, so who the hell knows? The Vigil themselves are cool enough, I guess. We meet 3 of them in this issue. There's one guy with electric swords, another lady who's super fast, and another dude who can seemingly shift his shape. They ultimately manage to give Jason the slip by just kinda sailing away from him on this one. Yeah, great introduction to these guys. I'm really invested. No, I'm not. Now, the second story is arguably the best one in this 4-pack. It focuses on Flatline, Joshua Williamson's creation over in the Robin book. In fact, the last time we saw Flatline, her and Damian were kind of in a little bit of a romance. Now, Flatline's powers, of course, in case you didn't know, are all built around death. She can hear the voices of the dead, she can gain the memories of the dead, and ever since the Lazarus reign started, she's heard a strange voice beckoning her. These voices take her to Japan, in particular a safe house that used to belong to Talia al Ghul. Flatline actually kind of has a fangirl relationship with Talia, thinking that she's great. Talia isn't here though right now, as she's busy dealing with the much bigger Lazarus Planet problem with Batman and her son. Also because no one can seem to know what the hell Talia's status quo is right now. Joshua Williamson had made her a secret agent of the DEO and gave her a brand new costume, but then Mark Waid and others just literally shifted her back. Now, while Talia al Ghul might not be here, Ubu, Ra's al Ghul's famous manservant and toady, actually is. Ubu actually has the closest thing I've seen to real pathos in this Lazarus Planet collection. You see, he's beaten himself up because he wasn't there when Ra's al Ghul was famously killed during the events of Shadow War just a while back. Flatline is, of course, no help and no sympathy to Ubu, basically telling him, oh geez man, sucks to be you that you lost your entire reason to tread. Also, despite the Lazarus Reigns giving people powers, the Lazarus Reign took Ubu's powers away, but gave it to a bunch of his ninja friends? Again, these reigns sure are wildly inconsistent, aren't they? Flatline fights some ninjas for a little bit, and we realize that the voice that called her here to this safe house actually belongs to none other than Ra's al Ghul. Flatline touches the demon's head's ashes, and in doing so, resurrects him, maybe, or maybe he's just in her mind, maybe he's a ghost or an illusion. Also, maybe he's evil again, maybe not. He's certainly dressing like a villain, despite the last time we saw him in the Joshua Williamson books, he had actually gone out of his way to try and make good on a life of former evil. But I guess we're using Lazarus Planet as an excuse to throw out that character development and reset things. Now, the third story in this pack is actually an Amanda Waller-centric story. You'll remember Waller in a brand new version of the Suicide Squad had shown up at the end of Dark Crisis, and it was implied that they were going to be a big part of Lazarus Planet, only they weren't. We're also introduced to a brand new agent of Task Force X in this issue. His name is Deadeye, and he looks like the unloved child of both Bloodsport and Deadshot, only he's magic, I think. Also, I can't be certain if he was given magic powers before or after he was pelted by Lazarus Reign. He gets into a big fight with Everyman, Hannibal Bates, that guy who can steal people's powers. The Reign actually supercharges Everyman and allows him to tap into the powers of the likes of Doomsday. Yeah, remember how Doomsday was on the promotional art for Lazarus Planet, but he's just been in like 2 of these weird anthology stories? Deadeye beats Everyman Doomsday because he's super tough and super cool, and also he turns out to be Amanda Waller's own nephew. Again, what a bungled debut. I literally do not understand what is special special about this character or what they are supposed to offer, except for just being a little derivative of both Deadshot and Bloodsport. Now, the final story in this 4-pack anthology once again focuses on Red Canary, a character who has been getting a ton of push both in the pages of Dark Crisis and its tie-ins, and now even right here, right now. Which is weird because despite all this panel time, we still know so very little about her. In fact, we only just find out right now in this issue that her name is Sienna, she's a college student, she's a Black Canary superfan, but not just because of her superhero work, but also because of her music work. It's because of that Sienna wants to become a musician too, and I guess also wanted to become a hero to try and help fill the void left behind by Black Canary during Dark Crisis, but Canary's back now, and Red Canary herself is feeling a little lost and adrift. I will say this though, this is probably the best looking of this 4-pack of stories, and I really hope I see this artist again. The Lazarus Reigns start twisting and mutating a bunch of different people on Sienna's campus, and she ends up joining forces with friggin' Sideways of all people to deal with the problem. Oh man. How do you write Sideways into a story like this and not have him break the fourth wall and look to the audience and say, hey, you know what, I was created during DC's last attempt to launch a bunch of brand new heroes at once. It was called the Dark Matter universe and no one remembers it. And yeah, that's basically where the story ends. Red Canary and Sideways save the day, and we're told to check back on in with Red Canary in that brand new Green Arrow mini whenever that starts. And so that was Lazarus Planet Next Evolution issue number 1, everybody. And man, you know what, I'm just gonna come out and say it, these constant Lazarus Planet anthologies are really starting to grind my gears. I'm really starting to see a divide form between the stories wherein the writers just knew that they were gonna go with whatever idea they had anyway, and this is just to give you a little taste, and the other stories where it's clear creators are just throwing anything at the wall and seeing what will stick. I mean, yeah, that's just kind of comics in a nutshell, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the ideas we've seen debut here in this anthology book might actually come back and might actually be a big deal, but it feels like just such a weird way to introduce readers to them. So many of these stories just feel lazy and slapdash and put together, and worse still, even if you did actually like some of these ideas and do want to see these stories continue, the book doesn't tell you what to actually read next because they probably don't know. Overall, I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 5 out of 10. It's the definition of mediocrity.
Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.